Welcome everybody to Capture Media, the Guys Podcast. Today I have two special guests with me, Miss Karen Cantor and the man Q. The first episode we had with Karen was amazing. I learned so much about her, and she was always speaking about her boyfriend on the podcast. So I had to bring this gentleman in, and here he is.
What's
going on? How are you?
I'm great, bro. Experienced a lot of change, but it's all incredible. First, though, I want to talk about that first episode.
Yeah.
I was amazed.
I was gonna say, how'd you like it?
I loved it mostly because I think a lot of times when I watch or listen to a good podcast, the podcaster has guests on and they talk more than the guests, and I'm like, why did you invite the guest then? You don't want to hear the guest's perspective. You didn't do that. You did you asked a question, you just let her talk and teach and give. I was amazed by that humility, that choice to just give to over whoever your guest is, and now I get to talk. What's up, y'all?
Definitely.
Man, you're in trouble. You get this.
Oh man. Again, Karen, thank you for coming on the first episode, and thank you for being so upfront and open about your relationship and the things that you personally went through.
I'm happy to be here again.
Thank you. And I'm happy to have you here. So Q, what's going on, bro?
Man, a lot of amazing things have happened, and a lot of it's in part to my partnership and what I've learned since dating her. But most recently, the newest change is that I just started a business for voice coaching. I'm an actor who trained at the Atlantic Theater Conservatory, where I was trained in speaking voice work.
Okay.
And I learned how to do a comprehensive warm-up to make me connect to my breath and my body. And I learned that back in 2015, 2016. And then my mentor asked me to be her protege. So I was like, sure, I'll work with you. And then I kind of kept working with her. And then in the recent, 6 months, I've been I need to make my own money and not depend on an opportunity from a casting director or my agent to send me a side or whatever, because you can do 500 auditions and only book one. Winston C. Du talks about that before he booked Black Panther. And I was like, I don't want to wait no more. And also school, I teach a lot and school dies down in the summertime. So I was like, I don't want to be poor in the summer either. About 2 months ago, I went to El Salvador and I taught a workshop there for a week. And my partner came with me and she was like, why don't you do this all the time and start your own business? And I was like, no, I don't want to bastardize this. I don't want to just be training rich people to make them feel better about themselves. And I was like, wait a minute. I can make great money from this because I train and mostly coach actors. One of my clients is Oscar. She was nominated for an Oscar this year from the movie Emancipation. And so getting to work with people like that was what I was always thinking I should just be working with. In 2023, though, I've been working more with professional actors, professionals who are not actors actually. And I was like, you know what? I can capitalize on this gift I've been given and capitalize on my gift that I can give to other people. And so I launched, soft launch July 1st. I had a little workshop or whatever. And then one of my clients who has a lot of followers on Instagram, she posted about me from the difference between her voice when I first started working with her to where she is now. And within 2 days, I got 15 clients just from her lifting me up. And I'm just so humbled by my community and so grateful. And so it's a lot of work, but I'm enjoying the mess out of it because I feel like I have more command over my life and my earning potential.
That's awesome, bro. Congrats to you, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
A lot of times people never find their passion. So for you to have found your passion and Karen actually playing a huge role in that, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So wait, so how did you guys meet?
Hinge, like a lot of couples in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah. So we met on Hinge end of September of 2021. So full disclosure for everybody watching, when I met Karen, I had not had a girlfriend title since I was 19, and I met her at 33. And
so that gap.
I was single. I was going on dates, but those dates were I knew I had no desire to go further than just dating because I felt the pressure that a lot of men feel I need to provide, I need to be good enough, I need to give. I listened to a lot of what my mom taught me about being a man, and I assumed that I had to be that exact man. And so I was like, okay, I can't date.
Wait, what kind of man did your mom say, or what did she make you feel like being a man was?
Providing only, financially, nothing else.
Okay.
But then we talked more, we had more conversations. And even though she said all she needed was a provider, she came to me, her son, looking for emotional support. And I'm like, I'm not your husband. Why are you coming to me? But she was like, well, he's not able to do it, but you can listen to me. And so from her telling me I need a man that only financially provides, and yet the men who don't do anything else, you don't appreciate it. My grandfather's who she learned that from. My grandfather's an incredible incredible financial provider. But my mom remembers that the first time she ever heard my grandfather say, I love you, when she was 33 years old. She had never heard I love you from him. She knew that he loved her by his actions, but not by his words. And the way and he's a preacher, and he's talking about love. And she's like, how can you talk about love and you never send it to your own daughter? And so I realized in my 30s that my mom said one thing about what she wanted, or what she thought she wanted, because that was the only example of a man she had seen. And yet she needed something much deeper, which was more than just the money. And so, but I believed that when I was a kid, so I just like, you know what? And I was afraid of being a bum. I was afraid of like failing. I'm really afraid of failing. That's another conversation for another time. But what the biggest change happened in 2021 was my sister died. And it was sudden, and it changed all of our worlds. I'm the oldest of three. My middle sister just...
So it was unexpected.
It was so unexpected. Wow. Yeah, she was at work. They believed she had a pulmonary embolism. She was overweight. She had just flown back from Hawaii. And the doctors believe a blood clot moved up from her leg up into her lungs.
So I'm sorry to hear that.
I appreciate you, bro. Yeah.
Peace to her.
Thank you. So that shifted my mind about being happy. I no longer wanted to be over-controlled. I no longer wanted to be rigid. I no longer wanted to be scared, because I thought that avoiding relationships that could potentially hurt me, or I show up as maybe fail or whatever, would keep me safe. And then my sister died. And what I mean by safe, I mean like not having to worry as much about getting hurt emotionally. But the worst hurt you can experience is losing a family member that you're really close to. And it's not only unexpected, but she's younger than you. So when I met Karen, my sister hadn't died yet. And so I had the same intention, just to like see where it goes, but I knew I didn't really want to go anywhere because I didn't think I was good enough yet. And then my sister passed away, and I was like, I don't care. I literally was like, I don't give a fuck, because I want to just experience life and just live my life. The assumption a lot of people make is that I got around. I was a track athlete in undergrad. I'm a handsome black man. I got a deep voice. I'm not short. So people were like, oh, he gets around. I was a virgin too when I met Karen.
How old were you when you met Karen?
33.
Wow. I've talked to a lot of people in my life. I don't think I've ever met a man to tell me that they were a virgin into their 30s.
Oh, yeah.
We do know that men typically lose their virginity later on in life. Women tend to lose their virginity earlier.
Yeah.
But Q, 30? Yo, that's wow. Karen, wait, how did you feel? Did you believe him when he said he was a virgin?
Actually, I didn't know until 4 months later.
Really?
Yeah. I basically let him be comfortable. You know, we were like dating, and I was okay with not having sex. Actually, that was like the difference that set him apart from everybody else I was dating. I felt as a woman that men would only give me a chance to get to know me if I put out. That was just my experience growing up. It felt like a lot of guys were really interested in sex, and if I wanted them to get to know me on a deeper level, that I had to be sexual. Yeah. I had to offer it. Like, that was an expectation placed on the table.
Okay, I'm sorry. When did you know he was genuine about this? Because you might think that he's just doing that to get, as a form of game, right? Trying to be different. When did you know that Q was actually really a virgin and he needed you to make him feel emotionally secure? Like, when did you know it was serious?
I was relieved when he was like, I'm not ready to have sex, and would still go on dates with me and get to know me without me having to give up my power, or he wasn't expecting that from me. And I was like, oh, this is really refreshing. I get to know you. Maybe we can be friends first, which was something I was really intentional about at that time in my life. After I broke up with my fiance, maybe like 4 months earlier, 5 months earlier, I knew something had to change. Actually, a friend of mine from nursing school. I was like calling him on the phone, and I told him I was gonna go on a date with this guy, and he actually told me to not put out, not have sex, not offer it at all for the first date. And I was like, you know what? I'll do that. That'll be like the first time I really like do that.
Wait, on the first date?
On the first date. Yeah.
So
I
that
felt
was
like
an expectation that you thought that you had to uphold?
I
Sex on the
truly,
first
yeah, I
date?
truly believed a lot of guys, like I felt that because it was my choice, that I was actually choosing it, but it was really something that I was conditioned to believe because of the experiences that I had with men. I felt that I had more positive experiences with men when I expressed myself sexually from the beginning. Then, you know, they would fizzle out and I would kind of question, okay, what's the difference? Or, okay, that's fine, I'll just move on from that. So like my guy friend, before I went on a date with Quentin, was like, this time just don't. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then I went on a date with Quentin and he was like, actually, I don't want to. Like I was making out with him and he was like, oh, too fast. And sent me home.
Wait,
like,
so he told you he doesn't want to and it's too fast. Typically, that's a little, right? Like normally it's the
opposite.
Exactly. The woman is saying it's too fast.
yeah, I
don't
came
want
on
to.
really strong and he
Okay.
was like,
because of
hold
your
the
past
phone.
experiences of what you thought men wanted.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
But wait, before you got to that date, what made you even want to go on a date with him? What type of things did he display to say, you know what, I even want to let this guy take me out?
So
I don't want to miss any. Listen, I don't want to skip
yeah,
any
I'll
steps.
start from the beginning. I mean, like,
Hinge.
On Hinge,
Hinge,
he
yes.
responded to my prompt. It was a question that said, one thing I want to know about you is, the answer was, are you in therapy? And then he responded how long he was in therapy. He's really handsome. He was really sweet and polite. And so I was like, okay, I'll text him. And I kind of imposed on his plans for the day. He was gonna go out with a friend to the Indigenous Day Parade on Randall's Island.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I want to come. And so I kind of didn't give him a choice. He was like, okay, I guess come by.
Impromptu, just
Right. And then
yeah.
it was like raining and his friend never showed up. So it was just me and him. That day we were like talking, walking around the grounds. And then he's like, I got to go home and grade papers. And I was like, okay, I'm coming with you.
It was so funny.
wait, so yeah,
It was hilarious.
I
man.
invited myself over. I
Cute
was
as
really
a-
forward.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I invited myself over. I was really forward.
Okay,
Right.
So cute as a man, right? When you hear a
Yeah.
woman say, I'm coming over. What do you, like, normally,
So
What were you
Muhammad,
thinking?
I have had, because I was a virgin when I met her, but that didn't mean I didn't get attention from women. And so I have had several women come up by my apartment, and I will literally be like, look at my TV. Because I have an OLED
what he
television.
did.
Yeah, I have like this dope television
He
that I
made that
watch
the
movies
focal point.
with, and like I've literally cuddled on the couch with girls. The TV show go off, and I may have an erection. I don't care. I'll be like, "That you felt that? Yeah, you good?" And I mean, like like literally, I had a girl over one time, and she, oh Lord, I hope she don't watch this thing. She was like, she got in my lap, and I was like, oh. You ain't never done this before. And she had been on my house before. And then she like held my face as if she was gonna kiss me, but I didn't make a move. So she just like, okay, I guess it's not going nowhere.
Yeah.
I walked her home. And then I was like, you seemed off when you left. Like I'm acting stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and she was like, I just wanted you, and I'm quoting her, I wanted you to ravage me.
she said that.
She said that. And I was like, huh, how does it make you feel that I didn't?
Yo, they probably thought that was some smooth game.
Right. Well, she
it's
got
gonna make them want you even more.
Right.
Like,
Meanwhile, as a man, I realized if I also held out, more women got more interested. If a man does not lead sexually, if a woman leads sexually, it's great because that makes you feel good, makes you feel big. But it doesn't make her, if you lead sexually, it doesn't make her necessarily feel chosen. She's just like, oh, here's another dude. So one reason why we got along really well is that we matched in like September, like the end of September. We didn't meet for like 2 weeks. So we just were texting and talking on the phone. We both got really comfortable with each other really easily without the pressure of like expectation beyond getting to know each other.
Gotcha.
And that's just how I get to know anybody. I just love people. And I thought she was hot. The reason why I liked her therapy photos, prompt, because I wanted to like her booty picture. But I was like, no, because she don't think I'm a hoe. And I'm not. I want to be, but I'm not a hoe. And so I was like, I'm gonna like therapy, because I am in therapy. And I've been in therapy since like 2010, off and on, just processing my own, like I've had so many life changes and so many things that have gone differently than I planned, and my mind and my body just couldn't figure out a way to follow that new plan, to pivot. And being able to pivot for anybody is a superpower, because if things don't go your way, then you got to figure out how to like adjust. And I struggle with things changing without me like being prepared for it. So yeah, on that first date, we go on the date, we go to the Indigenous Day Parade, we go to get food, I pay for whatever, it was cool, it was cheap, whatever. And then we get back to my apartment, I'm like, look at my TV. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she like grabs my face, and I was like, and then she didn't stop like the other girl. She grabbed my face and keeps going. I said, oh, we doing this. And then she's in my lap.
Karen, no means no.
She was smart. And she I didn't say nothing yet. And then I was like, wait. And I literally picked her up. Yeah. And I set her down.
And put me at the door.
I did not put you at the door.
He put me at the door.
I didn't.
I mean, his apartment was like...
It's small. It's
a box. So like the door was literally in this direction.
It's this side of my apartment. Yeah, so when that was, it shocked her and me, but I've always been attracted to women who were sexually forward, because I wasn't. I was afraid of being sexually forward. So women who were...
Why were you afraid of being... Wait, hold on. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Before that though?
Yeah.
So Karen, at what point did you think something maybe was wrong with you, right?
Right
because,
then and there.
Like
right.
Typically, right, when a man doesn't go after it, or doesn't, in this case, accept it.
Yeah.
Typically, the woman might think, yo.
I got really insecure. We talked about it later that night. I told him how I felt, and he received me. He was like, no, that's not what I meant to do, but he wasn't ready. And I was like, oh, that's okay, new. That's new.
Did you believe that, though?
Respect that. I did, because one, I don't think too deeply into that stuff. I'm like, I believe you. I feel like I have a tendency to just believe people, right? Because I expect people to just believe me.
Yeah.
So I have that courtesy to other people. So just naturally, I was just like, cool, we can still date, and I don't have to do anything else. Like, you get to know me,
yeah,
and I get to know you, and not lose anything or feel uncomfortable about it. So that went on September, October, November, December. Yeah,
December.
December. And then I was getting sexually frustrated, and I told him like how I really felt. I was like, it's like taking a while, but I still have needs. And so I was like, I have to have sex.
You told him?
Yeah, I told him I had to have sex. I mean, I did have needs, and I wasn't afraid to voice them. And I just knew that this was the capacity he was willing to give me, and I respected that. I wasn't forcing him to have sex, but
yeah, that'll be a crime.
But I was like, no. I wasn't being like, well, if you don't have sex with me, like we can't go further. It wasn't like that, because actually I've received that before. If we don't have sex, or if we don't move to this next step, we can't go further. It was like an ultimatum that I've received in the past. So me not doing the same thing to somebody, like, I think I was changing how I approached relationships in this season of my life, because I had just been doing the same things over and over with the same result, right? It's like a roller coaster, and then it fizzles out with every relationship that I ever had. So this was so different. So I was like, well, let me try something different. And well, I need to have sex. So I want to have sex, so I'm gonna go have sex, because we're just dating.
Yeah.
We're not official.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? And he was like,
meaning what
okay.
You were like, there was a chance where you felt.
I'll tell you what happened. So like, it was a couple of times where, like, first I met her poly, so I believe that she was poly.
So when you met her, she was
poly.
I presented myself that way,
and I believed it.
Profile.
She put it on her profile.
How
she
did
didn't
that
lie.
make you feel though, Quinn?
I thought it was interesting, because I never met a poly person, so I didn't know what it necessarily meant. And so,
wait, can I ask you a question? Did
sure.
you think that you had the ability to actually change her in a way where she wouldn't feel the need to be poly? Or were you comfortable, right?
I wasn't thinking about that at first.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
at
he
first.
just wanted to learn.
Yeah,
Okay.
I literally was just curious. I literally had no expectations for this relationship beyond I got to know somebody else. Because that year, Muhammad, I have been dating intentionally just to get to know people, just to see like, can I let go of my own like rigor? So I have been dating all year, just getting to know women, and all of them were like confused. She was not the first woman that was confused that I didn't want to sleep with her on the first date. It was like 4 of them that I went on a date with that year, and all 4 of them were like. One woman I met, she was incredible, cool. She worked for like a billionaire. She traveled with this billionaire. And I was like, you leave the country every 3 weeks, so how do you have a healthy dating life? And she was like, I really don't. And now I look back after now being sexually active, I was like, oh, this was intended to lead to sex for you. I didn't know that. For me, it was just me getting to know you. So going back to Karen, when I met her, she was poly. We had a couple times where I knew that she was going on dates with other dudes, and they were probably going to have sex because those men were not me.
Wait, while you guys were dating?
Yes, but I was also dating other women. So I'm not
Purely
poly.
just dating.
We were just getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until like late November, like maybe like mid-November. No, it wasn't until after my sister's funeral that we started getting like hot and heavy. So before December, before we actually had sex, we had like a sexual like playtime at a party in like a public space. And I was like, oh, we both freaky. I like this. And so it still took me time, like maybe like another 3 weeks to like let go some. And I can even tell you about the first time we had sex. I'm not embarrassed. But like it took some time to like let go. And it also, because she was so understanding of everything, I didn't know where her boundaries were, because she would just be like, everything is okay. And I was like, oh, okay. And then there was one time it wasn't. She came over. My sister had passed away maybe like a month before this at this point, and my mom had called me right before my therapy session, and she was just pouring out on me and like wanting me to carry that weight, and I just couldn't. So I took 2 edibles. I usually take 1. I took 2 because I wanted to hit quick, but that was too much. And Karen was coming over, and I was high, like so high I could barely wash dishes, and so she was like. I texted her, I was like, I think I'm high. She texted me and she was like, oh, I love that for you, but she didn't like that for me. She was...
When I showed up, I was like, oh, you're...
High. Yeah, I'm high. And so I was like, I think I need to take a nap. It was 7:30 p.m. And so she was like...
I was pissed.
She was so mad. And I didn't know she was mad because I was too high to know she was mad. But I know we laid down...
That could have been the night, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so... Well, no, not for sex. That was one of our earlier times.
Okay.
And I had already set that boundary, like, I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
So at that point, she just wanted to come over to get to know me.
Gotcha.
And we're just going to spend the night and just chill. But... I was so high because I was going through something at that time that I didn't know how to express other than like, I need to just escape for a bit. She came over, she was upset, we lay in the bed. I didn't know she was upset, but I realized that her energy was so like, and she was on her phone, she had put her headphones in and she was scrolling angrily. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody scroll angry, but she was scrolling angry and I was like, what's wrong? Nothing. And I was like, are you sure nothing's wrong? And so I hugged her and then she started crying. And she was just like, I came over here and you were supposed to be like getting to know me. I'm supposed to get to know you. You're high. Why did you invite me over? And I was like, oh, she does have boundaries. She does have real needs from me. And so we got out of bed, we got on the couch. I'm still high, but I'm able to listen. I don't remember what she said. I'm able to listen. And so that was like a moment of like, she felt seen in her because I responded to what she said she needed. And I felt seen in her because even though she cried and she was hurt, she didn't blame me for the hurt. She was just like, I just had expectations about coming over and they weren't met. And this time was one of those times she usually doesn't have expectations. She's like, whatever happens, happens. Even while we were dating, she went and visited some other person, like some other guy. And I was just like,
How
go
did that
ahead.
make you
Yeah,
feel?
I had a
though?
roster.
It made me feel 2 things. Do I need to match up to these men? But also, we are not exclusive. So,
But there was no jealousy though there though?
oh yeah, it was definitely like fears. Oh, emotional, jealousy, envy. I wish I were already that person already, but I just wasn't. But at the same time, she wasn't saying, I don't want you. She was just like, I'm taking this trip. How do you feel? I'm like, go ahead, girl, find it out. Also, I love to process emotions. And she was willing to share with me who she really was. And Muhammad, if anything else, I'm nosy. So I just want to know about her life. And even if we don't date.
But wait, when you say that, did she ever share details about her other sexual experiences with you?
Not at that time, but I wanted to know because I wanted to learn. Oh yeah, I'm like, bro.
I liked how he asked.
Yeah.
It made me feel like he wanted to get to know me no matter what I presented to him. It made me feel really safe and not afraid of presenting information that's actually true about myself, that I didn't actually have to hide anything that I was feeling, whether I felt guilty about it or felt weird about it. I could present it as is and he'd receive it as is. And that was the difference. Like, I was like, oh, you're not judging me. You're taking all this information in and you're not making it about yourself. That was important.
And Muhammad, that's new, bro. Like before Kendra, my sister, passed, I was judgmental. And I wouldn't have taken it in, and I wouldn't have chosen her. If I would have saw that she was a polyamorous person, I would have did what you said. I would have been like, let me try to convince her to be just with me. I know I can be manipulative. I know I can be controlling. I know that I am good at listening and giving to the point where women will be like, you're an anomaly. But I didn't want to be a liar anymore, because that was a lie.
So you were what you thought those women wanted.
Oh, I knew exactly what they wanted, because they told me, and I listened. Like you say, like I just listened, and they told. And every woman's different. So every woman had a different need. Crazy dating story. I went on a date with this girl at the beginning of the year. She made a lot of money, worked for Amazon, lived in Chelsea, lived in a high-rise building. She went on a date with me, and she was just like, I'm ready to have a kid. You don't have to be the father. I'm going to get artificially inseminated. But are you okay with that? I was like, yeah, I don't know you. And so she was like, okay, I want to, whatever. And so because I accepted her for where she was in that moment, she was like, oh, I think you're perfect for me because I'm willing to accept her for who she was. And I was like, you're not perfect for me because we went on a couple of dates. You don't listen to me. I talk about myself and you immediately cut me off and talk about yourself. I didn't break up. I didn't stop the dating process because she had desires that I didn't necessarily know would align with what I wanted. She just didn't make me feel safe.
You was with her for the free Amazon deliveries.
I wish I could get that from Amazon Prime. I wish. And so like when I met Karen, it could have went that same way. And then my sister died, and I was like, I'm wasting everybody's time, including my own. Tomorrow's not promised. My sister died at 32. When she would tell me about these other guys, yes, it would hurt initially because I'm a fragile ego. And I want to be the best at everything. And I worked at being the best at everything except for sex. So perfect example why I knew I mattered to Karen. This is how I knew I mattered. We had this very fun night at a club, doing some drugs, having some fun. Karen was the one thing that I needed more than anything at that time, was somebody who was okay with me having fun and not judging me for it. She said she didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be judged because I came from a very religious family. I had never done any psychedelics. I have smoked weed once in my life. At that point, I maybe had done edibles like 3 times. I didn't really drink like that, like that in that point. Like I didn't really try anything. I was a partier, but I'm a sober party. I would go to the club and dance all night. But now I just was curious about everything, including her, because she was so different from me. And so I was just like, I want to just try stuff. And Karen was just like, I literally said, I'm not necessarily, when my sister died, I was like, I'm not necessarily ready for a relationship, but I know I want to have experiences. And she said, okay. Instead of like denying me, like, oh no, I know I want a boyfriend. I know I need a man to choose me right now. She was just like, she just met me where I was. And so who am I to not meet her where she's at? She just got out of a relationship. She's grieving that. I'm grieving my sister. And so we had this great night, and then she left and went to another country. She immediately got to the other country, still COVID. So she gets to that other country. She sent me this long, beautiful message while I'm in therapy. And she's like, because in the club that night, she told me she loved me. And I was like, you don't even know me.
Like,
what made you say that? Wait, hold on. So what did you tell this man that you loved him? And wait, and how long
partially the
was
drugs.
it before she said that? Like,
this was only 3 dates in person.
Yeah.
But this is like November, the beginning of November, like the second weekend in November.
you told him you loved him after like 3 dates?
Well, it was the context of like
The drugs.
partying.
Mm-hmm.
No. I always say
There was truth to it. There was truth to it, but the truth I wasn't willing to really admit. It was like one of those things that just kind of like slips out, but you're not completely sold on that belief yet. Like it comes out before you can really, right? Like I couldn't have processed it at that moment. Like I processed it when I was sober later.
Looking back.
What made me feel
to say that? Like, what feeling did you have to manifest those words?
How many people can you tell them about yourself, the dirty, nasty parts about yourself, and they receive you without judgment, or ask more questions that don't make you feel like you have to be on the defensive. Like maybe just your best friend, a childhood best friend, probably if you're close with your siblings, maybe a sibling, but like
but not
they're
a potential
not
boyfriend long term, right? Women typically don't tell their boyfriends their past sexual experiences because of fear of judgment, right?
Yeah, I've been in relationships where men were like, don't want to hear about that at all. I'm like, all right, boundary, respect it.
What made you feel comfortable to tell him this?
I felt like I had no choice. Like if I were to be honest and truthful with myself, and I wasn't just doing things to get validation from anybody anymore. It was, this is something about me that I have to share if I'm going to meet somebody authentic and honest and receiving me at where I am right now. I had to present it. I can't sugarcoat my words, and I couldn't, dance around people to make them feel comfortable. This is what I needed, what I wanted, and I had every right to want those things and to express those things. And he received it without making me feel like something was wrong with me. And that never really happened. I could rarely get that experience with a girl who was a friend or any of my exes. And so I was like, that's different. Like, you're different.
Yeah, so that date when she was hitting me up from another country while I was in therapy, she sent this very long, beautiful message. The message referenced the I love you phrase. And I just responded to her like in the moment. I was like, oh, talking to my therapist, the girl I went to the party with and had that crazy experience with, she just texted me, and it's more than just this experience. I was like, okay, great. So I texted her like, hey, I'm in therapy, I'll call you when I get out of therapy. So we FaceTimed or WhatsApp message. I didn't have an iPhone at the time. And she expressed like true care for me in a way that I was like, oh, even though, yes, you may be dating other men, you keep coming back to me. You're going to see somebody else and you keep coming back to me. And I was like, that's interesting. Also, her blatant honesty, Muhammad, let me be honest, because I am not that open, because I don't want to be judged. And so I am just as guarded as most men are about who they really are until you get with them long term and then you kind of see it. Or most people, I won't say men, just people in general, I think people are afraid of just getting hurt. I'm severely afraid of being hurt. So I didn't really share a lot about myself. I was so happy she wouldn't talk about herself. But when she did that, when she opened up so willingly, then I was, little by little, I was able to let go of the truth. Like she said, I actually didn't tell her I was a virgin until May of 2022.
That's so different, man. I never met a guy that was a virgin up into their 30s or even like their 20s, man.
Let me tell you.
So were there any things that contributed to you waiting this long to actually decide to break your virginity? Any past traumas that you experienced?
Oh yeah.
That contributed to waiting so long?
Oh yeah. It started with my family about like, just wait, because you can get hurt, you can get somebody pregnant. My family's mad religious, and they were like, if you have sex with somebody and she gets pregnant, it's on you to take care of that kid. If you ain't got no money, you ain't gonna do it. So that was that in the back of my head. But also personally, my first serious girlfriend, she and I started dating when I was like 17, about to turn 18. Oh no, I had just turned 18. January, senior year, second semester. We met on MySpace.
Man, we taking it back.
Right. She saw my page on MySpace and thought I was cute or whatever, so she reached out. Anyway, the summer of after my senior year, we about to like mess around. I had a track meet, and I was like, hey, I was told that if you have sex before you run, your legs be weak, so you're gonna run slow. Yeah,
so I was like, athletes, we all know that.
Right. So I was like, I ain't doing that.
No sex before game days.
Right, exactly, right. Yeah. And so we didn't have sex that night, but then I come home from undergrad for like a visit, and she writes me a letter and she tells me that she has an STI, and I was like, oh, is that why you've been like hesitant to even like really put out? Because she was sexual.
You said an STI.
An STI, sexually transmitted infection. Yeah, she was really hesitant about having sex with me, but she was open to it. She just like, we gotta wear a condom or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then she was like, I need to tell you what it is, but she never named it.
Wait. Before this, what were you thinking it was? You was thinking probably herpes.
I thought herpes maybe, or I thought like
gonorrhea or something.
Something like that. I was like, well then girl, go get it treated.
Yeah.
Maybe even HPV.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, but you seem fine. So like, what is it? She didn't tell me. She was too overwhelmed. And as soon as she started like she kind of like got scared when I started asking her questions.
I'm getting scared right now.
Right.
I see. Shit, that's like.
Right. And so I was like, oh no, calm down. But on my way back to school, I was driving. It's like a 6-hour ride back to South Carolina. And I was like, well, I want to know what she got because she never told me. So I call her, her house. She's not home yet. Her friend answers her phone. Her friend tells me. She answers the phone like, did she tell you what she got? And I was like, no. I was calling her to ask. She has HIV. And
Wait, the friend said that?
The friend told me.
Sheesh.
She didn't. She wasn't even given the chance because I wanted to ask her and give her the chance to tell me.
Was she okay with the friend?
No, the friend was me. The friend was not her real friend. And so she told me, and I just froze on the phone, and I was just like, wait, what? And so we had messed around. Don't get me wrong. I hadn't had intercourse yet, but we had both gone down on each other. Yeah. We had both explored other stuff. One reason why she told me was because that morning we had messed around, and she was different down there. And I was like, what's going on? And she was just like, oh, it may be like a yeast infection. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what it is. And that's why I asked her, and that's when she gave me that letter about the STI. So once I found that out, we broke up, and then...
But wait, did she get it? Was she born with the Q, or was it?
Oh, no. She got that from her... So she got it at 16. She contracted it at 16. Damn. She was dating this hairstylist who was in his 20s, so it was actually like statutory rape. They were having protected sex at first. In the most toxic way, her mother told her boyfriend at the time that she was on birth control. He was like, oh. And so later that night when they were about to have sex, he was like, your mom told me you were on birth control.
That's wild, man.
Let me tell you
the mother told the boyfriend?
The mother told the boyfriend. And so the boyfriend was like, yo, your mom told me, so we don't need to use condoms. And so she was like, okay. So she trusted him, and he willingly gave it to her.
And he knew.
He knew he had it.
Damn, hope he got like charged.
Something. He should have been, but he didn't.
Crazy.
This is how hard it is for some women. She got it from him, and instead of breaking up and stuff, she cried, and she's like, well, he gave me this, so I guess we're gonna get married. Wow. She literally thought, I guess he's gonna be my partner forever. She was willing to accept a man who willingly gave her a killer disease. Thank God it's not that anymore. She's alive and well, a parent now, she's fine, but like that disease can kill you.
And it's modern day medicine too.
Right, exactly. And so he did that. So she had that experience with him, and then she came to me, and she also didn't tell me either. So I also like lost a lot of trust for women in general, because I was like, man, you told me you love me, and I've been dating you for 9 months.
And she knew, was she?
And you knew.
And you can get HIV not just through vaginal intercourse.
Oh yeah, like
ways,
literally. I was like, when I got tested.
I know you were scared to death.
I was like, did I ever have a cut on my finger when I was like inside or whatever? So anyway, she was my first experience of like, okay, be really careful about who you trust. And then the very next person I talked to, she didn't have HIV, but she also had an STI at that time. And she was like, wait, we can't have sex. Bro. Right. She's like, we can't have sex or whatever because whatever. And I was like, I got to just keep myself to myself because nobody's honest. Yeah. And I already didn't trust men because of my relationship with my dad. Now I don't trust women except for my mom. And so I was just like, everybody else I'm going to keep you at arm's length. And so I never really let my guard down with anybody until after my sister passed.
So when you met Karen and before you guys had sex, did you say, yo, listen, because of my past experiences, you have to get tested first? Or was it something that you started to trust again?
I did not trust. And she was open about her sexual history and open about her
that's traumatizing. That is traumatizing, bro.
Oh, 100%. I was scared.
Wow.
But that was when I was 18. By the time I met Karen, I was 33. And she was so open. I was still hesitant. I was also just like, is this just a normal thing for people to like contract stuff just because they're sexually active or whatever? So like, she was so open and just willing to listen to me. But I also wasn't honest with her until we had been together for like 7 months before I told her I was a virgin when we started having sex. We started dating, like our first date was October 2021.
And the first time we had sex
was December of 2021.
I didn't find out until
May. She met my mom.
Oh.
Yeah, and she let me tell her. And then when I told her, I was a virgin. She just met my mom and my baby sister. We're driving back to her apartment, and I was like, I gotta tell you something because you have been so honest with me, and I never disclosed this. And so when people ask me about sex, I'm always like, I've had sexual encounters, like, but there was no intercourse. I've gone down on girls, they've gone down on me. I've slept
Okay,
with
so you
whatever.
did that.
Oh yeah. I just never have had intercourse.
Gotcha.
And literally, the first time we had sex, when it's about to go in, boy, my penis was like, "What in the sand fat are you doing?"
Like, no,
Up
no,
until
no.
like it's like it was like no, don't do that.
Yeah.
But as soon as I pull back, it'll get hard again, and they'll be like, don't do that. Like literally, my mind, because I grew up really religious, and my family was like, wait till marriage. You're gonna go to hell. You're a sinner. Also, like, don't get nobody pregnant. My mom got pregnant young, and she didn't necessarily regret it because she wanted to be a mom, but she was just like, I wish we would have made different choices to prepare for y'all better. And so I'm listening to my mom, I'm listening to my dad, like, you don't want to have a baby mama because it can lead to a lot of issues in your future, which is all your other relationships. And I honestly, Muhammad, did not want to just use a woman for her body. And I had so many women I had met in college who were just like, I'm down to just have fun. I'm like, great, I'm just going to use you. And one of us is going to leave this encounter feeling great about themselves, the other one's gonna feel used, and it's the one where the penis is going in. So I was really conscious of that. Even though I know that's not every woman's experience, that's my idea of every woman's experience. And so we had sex, and we had a lot of fun that night, but it was very much I was in my head a lot. So it took like a month, not even like a month of trying, but a month of me figuring out me, like literally getting advice from my therapist, literally talking to other friends of mine who come from the same background as me and how they overcame that like fear of having sex. Because I wanted to, I was just like, my body was just like, it was listening to the brain, the part of me that was like, you're not supposed to do this yet. Once I unlearned, uncoupled those two things, our sex life has never been better. And we have a lot of sex and a lot of fun, and I'm so enjoying it. And because she's poly, she's okay with me going to discover another woman, having fun with another woman. I haven't done that, but she gave me permission.
Even now, in this current relationship, you gave him permission to do that?
Yeah, who am I? I mean, he's never had sex with anybody but me. I made choices where I, could experience sex in many, many ways. If there were a time where he wanted to experience that, I mean, like, you should be able to experience that. But the beauty of this is that he's able to come to me and just simply ask, and we can have a conversation. Like, he doesn't have to assume I'm gonna get mad. Like, it can be a conversation first. Mm-hmm. I may feel sad about it, or what I really might wonder is, what were the experiences that you had with me that led up to you feeling like you needed something else or someone else? And when we have those kinds of conversations, we can remedy that. We can fix the underlying issues, but that doesn't mean your wants and needs aren't valid. Like, if he wanted to have sex with somebody else, we'd have a conversation first. And if after that conversation, he felt like the need to do that, like, I respect that. Because you're going to come back to me. Because only we have this relationship.
Okay. And Q, are you okay with Karen exploring her options sexually with other men as well now?
Now it's different because I would feel scared, but I would be like, yeah, but the same thing. I would ask her, like, what are you lacking here with me that you need to go look somewhere else? And I will tell you, like, I'm lacking nothing with Karen. I'm just curious if I was to, like, have sex with somebody else. Like, it's literally out of curiosity. And I will tell you another thing. Karen gave me confidence. Before, I looked great, but I had no confidence in my sexual capability because I never had sex, so I had no way to practice it. It's just like when you go to the gym for the first time, you've never lifted weights, you are afraid. But now I've been a personal trainer since I was 21 or whatever, and I've been working out in the gym since I was like 15. So now I go in the gym, I don't think about it. Karen goes in the gym and is like, well, the first few times I tried to get her to go by herself and I just gave her a workout, she just walked in and walked out. Or didn't even go. It was like, oh, I couldn't make it. And it was because she'll tell me something, but I just know she was just intimidated by it. And that's what it was. And so, like, when it comes to, like, the sexual stuff now, it's mostly about me just being curious and also just like, I'm not afraid anymore.
I want to tell you, man, like, I would have a major issue with, like, my
that makes sense.
Stepping out.
Yeah.
Men, we're territorial.
I understand.
We don't want to share our woman with anybody.
No.
When did you come to that realization that that's something that you would be okay with, possibly?
when I met her as a poly woman and I said yes to dating her. So I always knew that there was a potential that one day she may want or desire that because our schedules aren't lining up, or she's something that like hasn't been going on for a long time. Kind of like when it happened with us before. It wasn't just like we weren't having sex for 4 months up until December. It was also that I was teasing her and we weren't having sex.
But that's
for 4
a little
months.
bit different. You guys not having sex right? But now
Right.
the fact that you're not having sex, or you're having sex, and now the possibility of someone else entering the relationship on a sexual level.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that we don't succumb to jealousy, insecurities, discomfort. All those things can be true, but what I am really confident about is that we can talk about it. Yeah. We can ask each other what we need, recognize that maybe we need something else, but like, because I have this relationship with him that is so open and honest, and I mean, he has the verbiage. And so do I. Like, him choosing to date a queer woman, he knew came with a level of like openness to learning, right? Which is.
And when did you let him know that you were a queer woman?
It's on my profile.
Immediately.
Oh, it's on my Hinge. Like, anybody who's interested sees it. Like, they can't pretend they don't see it. You know? If you come in there and you pretend you don't see that stuff, and then halfway through me getting to know you, you act all surprised, I'd be like, you're full of shit. At that point in my life, I would have just left. But nobody I was dating at that time felt it was an issue, and most men were really open to learning about that. I would assume they were really secure in their own sexuality and their communication skills, that you could come and come to an understanding. Also,
Karen chose me first.
Yeah.
Karen dropped her hose from me before I ever decided to stop. Like 2 weeks before I stopped talking to these other two girls I was talking to, Karen came to me. She was like, I ain't talking to my hose no more. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, I made that choice.
I was like, oh. She's like, I want to invest all my time with you. And I was like, I didn't ask her to do that, Muhammad. She chose it on her own. And that's when I was like, oh, she is choosing me. So to be even more open, when she was dating a lot of men, I didn't see the relationship going far because I thought that I would have to be a part of the group. And then I really wouldn't get to know her because I have to share her time. And if you know Karen, you know that she doesn't have a lot of energy. She goes to bed at like 10:30 and like she works a lot. And so when she gets off work, she's going to sleep, or she's going on a date or hanging out with her homegirls. And so like if she already has limited time and I have to share that limited time with other people, not just with men, but her girlfriends too and her family, because she's really close to them. I was like, I'm not gonna get enough time with you to even invest in you. So I'm not gonna invest in you. So when she told me this in like November, she told me like, hey, I'm just gonna be, getting to know you and only you. I don't want to meet any other guys because you're so different. That's when I was like, oh man, this could be like, let's see where this goes. Don't be wrong, insecure because of several reasons. Like there was this, when we weren't having sex for like 3 weeks in December and she came to me with her need and she's like, what am I supposed to do? She asked me what am I supposed to do to make sure that I was okay. And I was like, I met you poly, so go be poly.
That's some gangster shit, Karen. Like that's like I'm telling you what it is. And
yeah, I have to involve the person that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Right, but she didn't tell me what it is. She asked me though. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Like she gave me space to say yes or no. If I would have said no, she could have been like, okay, then we need to have sex right now. But she didn't do that.
Do you feel, Quentin, that you were pressured into saying yes because you knew you weren't having sex with her?
That's a great question.
I think so. I think he did feel pressure. I think he puts a lot of pressure on himself in general but I think it was because I was having sex with other people and this was the one thing he couldn't give me.
At that time,
he could give me emotional care. He could financially take care of like bringing me out to dinner. He was handsome and a lot of fun to be around. He was all the things. And then this was just the one thing that he couldn't give. But
you said you did, practice oral sex and things like that.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you guys could have incorporated that before the actual
So
right?
yeah, so
Just to like hold her over so that she doesn't have to.
here's the thing: if people don't know who they are, they can't tell you what they need. And she didn't know that all she had to say to me was like, "I need an orgasm." Because if she would have told me that, I'm like, "Girl, open your legs up then. Let me go down there and take care of that." Because once I did give her that, she's like, "This is all I need is an orgasm every now and then. Even if you're not ready yet, just like help me feel satiated." But that didn't happen until I helped her feel satiated, and she's like, "This is all I wanted." I was like, "Why didn't you say that?" Because she didn't know how to say that, because she's never had to ask a man to give her an
I
orgasm.
was asking Karen, why didn't you just say that? Like,
She never had to ask a man to give her an
I never had
orgasm.
to ask.
Right.
I mean, it never was. I was unaware
Yeah.
of what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
I was just figuring out what I needed after grieving a relationship that I thought I knew what was going to happen. You know, and I had to just shift everything. I was making very different choices in order to get different results, and I didn't know about myself completely at that time. I was in therapy too, and so we were both, well, I was in the process of figuring out what I needed and how to communicate that. It wasn't easy to ask him certain things. There were things that I felt like I was, propelled to ask him so that we could move forward, but asking for an orgasm just wasn't one of those things.
And also, like, I would say this, emotionally, even though she didn't know that she needed to just ask and I would give it, Karen was leading in the way that she was willing to take the risk to like jump. And so when you say, "Do I feel pressure?" The answer, she's also asked me that question a lot, because she's the one that's like has always jumped, and I've been the one that's always been like measured. That's why we're so balanced, because I'm the one that's like think about it a lot first before I make any moves. Karen's just like, she's presented with an opportunity. Perfect example. I mentioned to her like over New Year's, "Yeah, I want to go to Machu Picchu one day before they shut it down because of erosion. They're like letting few and few people up every year." She, in that moment, looked up tickets and was like, "We can buy tickets right now and go in March." And I was like, "Wait, I just mentioned it." And that's like, it wasn't just, it was everything about her that made me feel like this is the answer in so many ways to my reticence, my fears. Like, Karen scared me in the best way, in every way. Like, when I met a woman, you meet a woman who is hot.
Dig deeper, right?
Right. You meet a woman who is hot, who is accomplished, who can get any man that she wants if she wanted to, who's already been engaged, already lived with a partner, and you haven't had a fifth of these experiences, but you know who you are enough that you can show up for her, but you don't know how much you can show up for her. And the fact that she made space for me in her life that allowed me to flourish. And so, like, yeah, I was jealous of these other dudes, but not because of the dude. I was jealous because I wanted to be the one to give that to her. The dudes don't matter, because I know and I knew in my heart that emotionally that I can give her something that nobody can give her, and nobody has given her. But I also knew that she still had desires that she had learned for a very, very, very long time. And so, like, all of the jealousy and the fear that I had was overrode by the ability to feel free and to feel big in other ways, and to feel like I can talk about what I really want. And she'd just be like, "Well, why don't you go do that?" Like, not just about sex or girls or stuff, but like my career, my desires to do stuff. She was like, "Quentin, you can do whatever you want." And a lot of people have told me that, but she was the first peer that I believe I can do whatever I want, because she did whatever she wanted. And whether she accomplished something else, accomplished anything, it didn't matter. It's like she had an experience, and I didn't go into any situation with the idea of just an experience.
I fail a lot.
Yeah.
I think he was afraid to fail, and
A
I was
lot.
like, let me just dive in, and maybe I'll fail, maybe
Right.
I'll succeed.
One reason why sex was hard for me at first was because I was afraid of not being as good as these other men. That's when I compared myself to these men.
Competition anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. Anxiety, or performance anxiety.
Yeah.
Mine is
Well,
performance.
competition and performance.
Yeah. Performance anxiety. So, like, but once that I got out of my own head about that performance anxiety, and like just paid attention to just her and what her body wanted. Again, I know that if I ever have sex with another woman, I know that what I learned from Karen in sex, it may work for somebody else, but that's not guaranteed. Like, everybody's body is different.
So if Q said, "You know what, at this point, I'm not okay with you being poly anymore. I just want us to be exclusive, sexually, monogamous 100%, nothing else." Would you be okay with that?
I feel like that's what I'm doing.
We are monogamous. Yeah.
We are.
But you're doing it, but you possibly can at any time still exercise.
Again,
What
I
if that
gotta
was-
ask. I have to ask him, like, what is making you ask this question? What do you need? And
What if you just said, "You know what, I just don't want.
That's not
to
who
share
he
you.
is.
Okay.
He would never put an ultimatum just
So
for
you
the
would
sake
never-
of putting an ultimatum.
Bruh, ultimatums are the end of a relationship.
Right.
Like, you don't tell your partner.
That's actually a form of control that he's never had to exercise. He's never had to present, I just want this and you have to do it or else. That's what that sounds like to me.
No, I mean, just saying, you know, sometimes you might have a different feeling after being with someone for a long period of time. Things that were okay in the beginning,
Oh, I agree.
you might,
Yeah.
you know, it might be different now.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking if he gave you a good reason for whatever, you know, whatever reason it was that you would think was good enough for you, would you be okay with not exercising?
Here's the funny thing is that I think we as people are going to evolve throughout our lifetime. The person I was last year is not the person who is sitting here right now.
Hell yeah.
And so
Same.
if he were to make that kind of request knowing who he is right now, I'd say that doesn't make sense. But as he evolves and as we evolve and grow into our relationship through years and years into the future, that may change. I may very well believe like, yeah, this is it. This is finally like settled. But like, I never closed the door for our growth. You know, I'd never like make it go in a particular direction. It should branch out. We should be able to pivot and choose each other no matter what direction we go in. And that's what's going to make our relationship last. But like knowing who he is right now and knowing who I am right now, he probably would have presented that maybe like when we first met if I had made different choices. But I didn't make those choices. And so he didn't make those choices in return.
I feel more confident and comfortable in our relationship now than I ever did at the beginning. I was more worried about her being like, I need to go choose other men all the time at the beginning now than I am now. Because I know who I am and I know what I offer and I know what she gives to me and I know what I give to her. So if Karen were to be like in a year, I need to like get satiated somewhere else physically. And I'll be like, why?
Yeah, what happened
like
in this time?
Yeah, I would literally be like, why? And more importantly, it would be like, if you turn me down, but you're gonna see with somebody else, what does that say about us? You know? And so like, no, I wouldn't give her that ultimatum. And if that ever, one thing I'll say, Muhammad, is like, I met her poly, so I'm never gonna assume that door is completely closed. And if she presents it to me and I feel uncomfortable about it, I'll just say, hey, I'm uncomfortable with that right now.
Right.
And if she's like, okay, well then I won't. And then these are the needs I desire to have met. Vice versa, like most of our relationship is processing what we believe that we were supposed to be doing in our gender roles or whatever, what we believe that we were supposed to be doing to get what we want out of each other. Like Karen has been in a lot of relationships and she had a habit of how to talk to men in those relationships. I had been a lot of friends to a lot of women, and I had a habit of how I talked to women who I was friends with. I was a lot tougher on women and men, but tougher on people who I wasn't romantically involved with. And the way that I learned from Karen how to like just listen to what they're saying and then process, and then I'll come back. Before, I would always have something to say in the moment, and if I felt threatened, I ran or I made you feel bad about it. But like we've had many conversations about my desire to figure it out because she was tired or whatever.
Yeah, he's the one who's presented.
Yeah, because
it
you only
forward.
been with Karen sexually. So I would think too, you might want to have other experiences because you don't know, right? What other women, you know how that experience would be with other females.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If the like tables were turned, I mean that's the thing, right? He's presented that curiosity and wanting to experience more. He's presented that to me more than I've presented that to him. When I like 2 or 3 months into like meeting him, I was like, I dropped all my hoes as a poly person. It doesn't mean I'm not poly. It's just it's not what I'm practicing.
Have you guys ever thought about doing like a threesome or bringing someone into the relationship?
Oh, we talk about it. It's
we
fun.
talk about it.
It's fun.
But I feel I have like very strong opinions about that. Yeah, I've had threesomes before. I don't think it works in so many ways.
And why is that?
I think someone always gets like hurt or it's really awkward. I think it depends on like
If anybody can handle it, you guys can.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, I will say
there's
that
a
like
funny dynamic.
I would say that one thing is that I know that if we ever open the relationship up and I step out or we have a threesome, it will have a shift in our relationship. I just don't know what it would be. And I used to assume like, oh, it's gonna mess us up or it's not good, or maybe it just means I need more than Karen. But that's not what I feel anymore. Now I feel like if it ever came up, it literally came, for me, it comes from a place of curiosity, not like Karen doesn't meet my needs. Like,
It's just the novelty of
yeah,
it.
I've never done it.
And I want to know, Q, just walk me through
Yeah.
your mindset, knowing that possibly you might have to share the love of your life, right?
Yeah.
Sexually with another man. Like, how do you digest that? Because, and I'm asking because I know I couldn't.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
how walk me through your mindset and how, what makes you being the man that will accept it and be okay with that?
So like, I used to think about it a lot. Like, again, beginning of our relationship when it wasn't, I didn't really know her, she doesn't know me. I was thinking about it a lot, and I'd be like, man, like, what if she asked for this? How would I respond? At first, I'd be like, go be with him. Case in point, it was that time in December. It was that time where we weren't having sex, and we had been together for 3 days, locked up in my apartment, and we weren't sexually active. And I was like, and she was like, what should I do? And I was like, well, you were poly, so go be poly. She went and slept with somebody else that week. I had a panic attack because I felt like I was like, I don't know how it's gonna make me feel in the moment, but you are this person and I can't deny you who you are, just like I don't want you to deny who I am. And so go and we'll figure it out. So she went. I even tried to bring her back, like it was like a Wednesday. She was like, you know that I'm supposed to meet up with this dude or whatever. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I had therapy that night. Muhammad, my heart was racing. I was in therapy messed up because I was just like, what does this mean? Who am I? I even sent like sex videos to her because I was just like trying to like make sure I don't lose her. And then like the next day after she met with him, the next day we go to a Broadway show. And I let her know like, hey, you had that experience. Let you know how I felt about it after the show. And I was like, I've never felt more impotent in my life. And I work on that all the time to be great. And so I'm glad that you had your experience. We're gonna have to either figure it out together or we're gonna have to figure it out apart because I don't know if I can keep taking that sensation. Almost 2 years later, I don't actually feel like Karen would act, like it would literally be factors to show up for Karen to ask me to that because we've talked about her and her ex-fiance and what made her feel like she needed to go date other men. And neither of us.
But you dating other men is different than having a sexual need.
Oh, that's the thing.
What I mean.
I wasn't dating other men. I literally just had to have sex.
So that's what I'm saying.
And then came back to
yeah, because you had that
Right.
panic attack then, Q.
Right.
Now it's deeper. You guys have more emotions involved, right? Invested. What if that was to take place now? How would you?
I would ask her how would she feel about it. Would be similar to like if I don't say yes to her having an experience after you have a conversation with about it and I'm reassured, how would it feel if I want the same thing? Like what I'm saying is like, yes, men can be territorial. Don't get me wrong, I'm no less territorial, but I'm also very much aware that I am not in her body. Like I'm not in her mind, I'm not in her. I don't know what she really feels. She can tell me, but what she really, really feels, and she can't tell me. So what I'm saying is that when we talk about this situation is I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable being her more than just like I don't want her to make me feel uncomfortable about being me. Because Muhammad, I'm more likely in this relationship to ask for that. Like 100% more to go ask for me to go step out. Because we've talked about it a lot and she's just like, I don't have any desire, not just right now, but just in general because I've had those experiences. Not saying that she won't change her mind, but right now I'm more so concerned about what I want and what she needs.
For someone who's done pretty much like everything I ever wanted sexually and just exploring my identity, I had the privilege of being able to explore my sexuality and learn about myself to the extent that I did. And in doing that, I figured myself out and could present an authentic person to somebody else. He just happens to be that person who can receive that. So I would not prevent him from having those same experiences. He has very much a right to do those same things. Everybody has a right to do those same things. You just choose to be single for most of the time. People just choose not to go into relationships because they want to have those experiences. But I don't think I have to lose out on learning about you.
But there's still,
And
but there's still
having
like a
to move
jealousy
on.
though, right?
Oh, yeah, it's an emotion.
Like when you
Which
love
is an
someone-
emotion, which I think is fleeting, you know? Like, I can acknowledge she's sad and upset, and those are valid feelings. But it's like what we
But
do
would
with
those
those
feelings
things.
stop you from doing something that you desire to do? Does him being jealous and territorial, can that have such an impact that you would say, you know what, I'm not going to go out there and fulfill my desire sexually because I'm going to make him feel more comfortable?
That's a good question. I think, like, in so many ways, like, I figured it out for myself. Like, I already had that experience, and we made it through.
In that first time, she chose. When I told her I felt uncomfortable, she was like, "Okay," and then she came.
And I chose him.
She reassured me a lot after that. It took a lot of reassurance after that.
Do you feel like here's a serious question, that by having a new boundary, are you in fear of losing her?
I used to be, not anymore.
And Karen, are you scared that if he tells you, listen, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore, this is what I expect and what I don't want, are you scared that your desires to be fulfilled sexually might have that much of an impact that you could potentially lose the man of your future?
I'm not afraid of losing him, mostly because we communicate so effortlessly, and like we have a system to it. One, we both see therapists, so it's pretty much tools in a toolbox, right? It's something that can be practiced. I can feel jealous, and I can feel sad, and I can feel insecure, but like, that's not what's going, and it has to be about like me. Yeah, I care about how he feels, but I also present to him what I need, and we do the same thing. It's equal in that sense.
So what compromises have you guys made, right? Because I've been hearing only the things that you guys were like able to understand and work through, but what compromises have you made, Q, and what compromises have you made, Karen?
That's a great question.
That's a great question.
Because we need to know about the other side too.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
that's
Everything's
the
not
best part.
roses and peaches.
It's not.
You know?
So this is the best thing about our relationship. Over time, it's just getting deeper and deeper. When I was like 23 years old, 24 years old, I was severely depressed after undergrad, like so confused about who I was, where I was going to go in my life. And I used to sleep all day. And then I would get up in the middle of the night to pace around the house because at least I didn't have to feel the pressure of anybody else's needs, like wanting me to do something or be better or not be sad. One night, and I would just fantasize about like what I wanted, not expecting that it would actually happen, just like getting out of my own reality. And in the fantasy, I said, I want a partner. I may cry, I don't know.
You can cry here, man.
Great, I love it.
It's a safe place, man. No
Yeah,
judgment.
I wanted to have a partner to make me feel safe. I wanted to have a partner who was a freak like me, because I hadn't had sex, but I knew I was nasty. I wanted a partner who showed me the wild side of life in a way that I was too afraid to go on by myself because I wanted to get it right. I wanted a partner who could sing and be artistic. And if you don't know that about Karen, Karen's outside of work is so artistic and is so incredibly capable of like putting together not just clothes, but like designing a house, producing. Like part of the reason again how I got this far is because of her ability to produce other people's lives. And I'm like, I'm the artist, you produce me. And she does, and she hit every single box. I just didn't ask for this, more energy. The biggest compromise I've had to take on is that I can sleep for 3 hours and be awake for 36. Karen sometimes literally gets washed over by a wave of fatigue that she has to go to sleep. And in that, I lose the person that I want to spend time with, the person I want to have sex with, the person I want to do stuff with. So the biggest compromise is that our energies are like this. She's a morning person, I'm mostly a night person, but if you wake me up early to do something fun, like sex, I'm gonna get up. And so like, it's really like my biggest compromise for me is I've learned to be okay with like her going to sleep at 10 o'clock when I'm up to 2 a.m. and I'm laying beside her in the bed. And she was like, do you feel bad about it? I was like, at first I just felt like I had to just put up with it. But now it gives me an opportunity to talk to my friends because all I want to talk to is Karen. So when she goes to bed at 10:30, I call people who are awake like me and we have long conversations. But when she's awake, I just want to give her all the energy. But that is the biggest compromise that we've had. And then we've had several arguments, impasses, misunderstandings. We have to compromise on culture.
Most of the time it's because I'm sleepy or hungry or tired and I'm
Right.
just like reactive. My compromise is being cognizant of how much I'm capable of, like how much energy I'm capable of giving, because we cannot have heavy, deep conversations, difficult conversations when I'm really sleepy
Gotcha.
and really
Hungry.
because I just get mean and I have the tendency to be hurtful is higher, and I don't ever want to put us in a position where we react that way. The content of our conversations can be really hard. We can talk about really, really heavy things, but we're not intent on hurting each other or reacting.
The story about the dress in the bathroom when you thought I was gonna break up with you.
Oh, wait.
Let me tell it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was like maybe 3 months ago, 2 months ago now. I was like cleaning up the kitchen in her apartment. We don't live together. And she was getting ready to go to high tea with her grandmother.
It was like Mother's Day.
Mother's Day. It's a Mother's Day thing. And so she was late. And one of her siblings called and he was like, hey, where's Karen? I was like, she's getting ready. She's sorry she's late. She's like, yeah, because we were supposed to start at like, let's say 11:30, but Karen heard 12. So she was leaving the house at 11:30. And so I wanted to reassure her that it's going to be okay. Like, you'll get through it, you know? And I walked into the bathroom while she's wearing like a silk white dress, beautiful dress. And I have bacon in this hand and I want to touch her with this hand. The compromise is that Karen is more reactive than I am and I am more careful than she is. And I just had to learn that we're just not different. We're just different in that way.
I need to learn how to be more careful.
And I just need
reactive.
but I'm okay because the biggest thing about it is that she's gotten so much better at it. When we first dated, she was reactive a lot and I would be like, this is interesting.
So basically, like, he had a piece of bacon. I saw it in the mirror. I literally, like, shrieked at him. And I was like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Basically taking out all the frustrations and of that morning and the stress of being late and just angry at myself for not paying attention out on him. And I didn't even realize that at the time how reactive I was. And I finished my makeup. He's in the kitchen. He's gone away. And I go into the kitchen to give him a hug. And he's like, no, I don't want to give you a hug right now. My heart dropped to the floor, but I had to respect him. I was like, okay, no hugs. I had to leave. And
She ran out the door.
I ran out the door, or else I would have like just cried right then and there. I could have walked back and begged him for a hug.
And I would have gave it.
He would have given it, but that wouldn't have helped the situation at all. So I left and processed what the hell happened. Called him. I was like, I'm so sorry, because I realized how reactive and mean I was in that moment. He deserved none of it.
Because he wasn't the source of it.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
And he humbled you, actually.
He did. He put up a boundary. And in that moment, I was just kind of like seeing red. So I didn't even like see that happening.
Yeah.
I was just so anxious that I just kind of like... But then I sober up and I'm like, fuck, I fucked up. Because I knew in that moment he didn't feel safe enough to hug me or receive me. So I was like, fuck, how do I make him feel safe again? And I just took accountability. I called him. I was like, I messed up. I'm so sorry. It could be some things like that small. Literally that small. And we resolve it in like that moment.
that moment, she still thought I was gonna break up with her. She told me this later. So it was more than just that. It was also like she called me crying and I was like, you need to figure out why you're so upset. Because it was the third time that week that she had been reactive towards me and I had done nothing. And so she went to the tea, she came back with her mom. Thank God I had just left the house to go to the store because I usually walk around her house butt naked. And her mama would have walked through and just been like, oh, it's a black... Lord Jesus. Anyway, that would have been funny. So, but she came back and she had confided in her mom about stuff. And they talked, and then her mom went to dinner, she came back, we talked. And we resolved quickly, but we need to talk about it for me. So her compromise is actually the energy stuff she's talking about is that she has to be able to stay awake with me while I process out loud a lot. Because she's really easy, like, it was an experience. I apologize, we processed what was wrong. I can let it go. I don't let go of stuff like that. So that's the compromise that we both had to learn. Is like our temperaments are so different that she just lets things go. Like once it's over, it's over. For me, I think about it for days.
That seems like more so like men typically behave like how Karen behaves, but like I said something, it's over. The women tends to like harbor stuff. So it was like a little bit like a role reversal.
Right. Because I'm the one who's been in therapy since 2010.
Yeah,
I'm the one who's been aware of my emotions, and I'm the one who has helped so many women with their emotions that like you before the podcast you were telling me about this experience you had at work and like how you took on that stuff. That's what I do for women to the point where like now I am an empath when it comes to that type of stuff, and I also have to learn because she's a new this is literally not just new in just sex, but it's new in all the ways. So I didn't know how to respond to any of this stuff, and everything hurt. And so I knew I was dramatic, and so I knew that I needed to figure out how to do that. And I knew that I could be that man that just didn't care, but that man cheats. And I would cheat. I don't know if you ever known somebody that cheated, or if you yourself have ever wanted to cheat, but part of that is because we don't speak up about what we need, and we're like, you know what, I'm not getting it here, I'm gonna get it somewhere else.
Right, we just let it go, and then the other person can't fix it if you don't say shit.
Yeah, we don't know if our partner will accept that.
Exactly.
That's another thing too.
Exactly.
So like now for like the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
Got it.
As far as finances go, right?
Yeah.
You know Karen's a high earner.
Let me tell you.
And is it safe to say she earns more than you?
3 times.
3 times. A lot of people, they're not comfortable being in that situation, being men. Typically men are like, kind of insecure, or they will want to earn more than their woman. How do you handle that? Is it like honestly? Is it like a pressure for you?
Oh God, yeah. Like I told you about how I was raised, and so when with my moms and stuff. And so part of the reason, I'm gonna be real honest with your audience, part of the reason why I felt confident to date Karen is because when I first met her, my sister passed away and she left me a lot of money. And her leaving me a lot of money made me feel like confident in myself in a way I had never done before. But I also knew that I was not earning more of that money. It was gonna just be doing this.
Yeah, because that's different, right?
Exactly.
Right? Inheriting something and actually going out to earn is different.
Exactly. And so the fear was not that she would leave me because I didn't have any money. I know what women want. They want ambition. It was the fear that she would not out earn me, but just like
out ambition you.
But yeah, out ambition, like keep growing, and I'm like too stuck in my head and too hard on myself. I think one thing I will say this as a general overview of a lot of men is that we get so caught up in that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves in general, and then we don't allow women to meet us where we are because we're so like, I gotta do this, and because I haven't done this yet, I'll date you, I'll sleep with you, I'll even hang out with you, but I'm not gonna choose you because I'm not ready. In the past, that's who I was. I wouldn't choose a woman because I wasn't ready. So this is a great question. So since then, though,
all these women are so confused. They're like,
right,
you clearly like me.
Right.
What's wrong with me? You're not choosing me.
Right. It's because I haven't chosen myself. So coming back to me, I was like, mostly is that I just know that I'm gonna be great at something. And I knew it was going to be acting or performing or something. So I know that I had more than enough potential. And Karen, when I would talk about money, perfect example, like there were so many times where I talked about money where she was just like, you don't need to have that. Like if you have a dream and a desire, I can support you emotionally and financially. So like I've mentioned to her before, I want to go to London and take acting classes. Find out how much it costs, I'll pay for it.
That's what Karen said?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just like, I cry every time because I'm like, I don't want you to have to pay for it. It makes me feel little, but at the same time, it makes me feel safe with her because this is about me and Karen, not about me and.
But like that's for the betterment of the career and for the betterment of the investment.
She paid for my headshots for my birthday.
Right. Like I mean, also my love language is giving gifts. Like I can give gifts like without hesitation, the same way people will like spend time with their friends without hesitation, or people will like shower you with affirmations without hesitation. Just giving gifts is like how I give. Yeah, he'll give compliments.
Karen, are you conscientious of not saying things that might make him feel insecure, right? Because it might just come out one day out of frustration, right? The truth comes out when we're angry sometimes.
Yeah.
And off camera, you were saying you said something and Q was not happy with it, where he was like, I had to tell you, like, I didn't appreciate that. But how do you make a conscious effort to be sensitive to him, knowing his situation financially, to make him still like feel like a man?
I think I just say things how they come out, and he's patient with me, and we work through what I really mean. I think the fact that he just asked me, like, what do you really mean by that? Because sometimes I haven't really processed what that means by me saying something. So we define the words, because they're, words are so important. Like, we define what I said in that moment, because if I say something, he may interpret it completely wrong. But instead of him just taking his interpretation and running with it, he makes sure he asks me the question, did you mean this? Or what do you define this as? So he makes sure we're on the same page. He just doesn't assume what I said is what his interpretation is.
I'm gonna also tell you the time she makes me feel the biggest. Every night, Karen does a gratitude list about me. Today you did this for me. Today you did this for me. Today you did this for me. Today you did this. Today you are like, you just show up for yourself. Like, one of the things she always also encourages me, like, show up for you. Like, you don't have to show up for me. I'm okay. Just, I want you to be happy with you. That gave me more confidence about our relationship and her. If every single night these little things are enough, like to the point where it's like, you're just like, I am floored because no other man has given me this without me having to ask for it, but I just offer it because this is how I grew up giving to my family. And it was kind of like training, right? Like we said it today. I was like, I feel like I've been preparing for years to be a voice coach and start this business, and it's blowing up. It's going so well. And I feel like I've been preparing for years to be her partner because I have had so many good examples of women treating men a specific way when it came to not their partner. And I was like, okay, what did their friend do or their brother do that made them say thank you? The partner stuff comes up, I think romantic relationships, something you said before, and I may be misquoting you, but just like being somebody's friend. Oh no, Karen said, like, just being somebody's friend first. And like, relationships last longer when you are friends first, because you get to understand each other before you get to the hot and bothered, like, emotions, like you said, the jealousy, the insecurities, all that comes out because you don't really know the person you're with. And you are afraid because you don't really know how they see you or vice versa. They can tell you one thing, but their actions may not line up with it. But that's mostly because you haven't, we people can take this, we rush. Like in 2023, yeah, we're not doing what our parents or our grandparents did when they got married at 19, but we're still doing this thing where it's so transactional. And Karen and I didn't start out transactional because of me, because I was like, that's not who I am. I'm not a transactional friend. Every girl I've dated or been on dates with who I knew I wasn't gonna date, they are still my friends because I didn't want it to be a transactional situation. But that's the biggest thing Karen does for me on a daily basis, is that she tells me thank you.
I never did that before with anyone. I just knew his love language was words of affirmation, so I had to practice giving that. That's something that I learned specifically about this person. If his love language was like spending time, and it wasn't mine, I'd work on giving him time. But that's just things that we notice about our partner because we're paying attention.
Gotcha. Karen, are you okay with, in the future, what if he never earns more than you moving forward? Would that be okay with you? Or do you expect him to start to come to a point where he is out earning you?
Do you ever, when you make investments, in your 401k or 403b, or even like NFTs and all that bullshit, Bitcoin, like, do you expect to be rich at the end, or are they just investments that you put little bits in and time and money in the hopes of it growing?
I think different people expect different things.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you specifically, if you see that he's not out earning you or not coming to your point of expectation, will you still be patient? Or is it something where is that it'll be like a deal breaker?
I have learned to be patient. That is a practice and a tool in my toolkit. Something that I learned in therapy and something that I learned with him and in all my experiences in the past. Like, I don't know.
So I mean, like, a better question. Are you okay with the future him not earning more? Is that something that you expect, or is it something that you're okay with moving forward and for like to like the future?
I don't really have expectations.
Okay, cool.
I have.
I'm gonna tell you what she told me just like 2 weeks ago at breakfast. She wants to be like the women in her family who provided for other people.
Gotcha.
So the reason why she has no expectations is because she's just, I'm prepared to provide for you if I have to. Because her grandmother did it for all of her family, including her husband.
Gotcha.
Her aunt did it for her siblings.
That's just what I see. That's just what I know.
So yeah, so she's often relating to like the provider, and that makes my body be like, eh. But at the same time, I'm okay.
comfortable in that role.
Yes.
Like it's something that I'm super comfortable with because I've seen it work. You
Same.
know, like I've seen my grandmother, you know, pay for her husband's cancer treatments up until his death. And she went from a millionaire to bankrupt and back again. She could have never have like anticipated anything that happened in her life and any of those experiences. So to have those expectations, like I just know that we can't, you know, expect the tomorrow to come. Like that's never guaranteed for us. So like the most important thing is like how we treat our partners today, what we say to them, how we avoid hurting them, and how we like really just honor ourselves.
Thank you so much, guys, for sharing all this information. I want to ask you more questions, but I know you guys will come back again.
Yeah, we come
next
back.
time. We got to do a part 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and for the future, what do you got? Where do you guys see yourselves moving forward in the future? What do you hope for in the future with you guys?
January, my lease ends and we'll move in together. The goal, the hope, the dream is that we actually like move into a new place together. So that'd be dope. But yeah, I'm not going anywhere. Karen is it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
People search almost for an eternity to find their partner, so I'm glad you guys found that. I'm happy for you guys. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you, Q.
Thank you, bro.
I appreciate you guys. We got to do another episode, man. I
Yeah.
got so much more questions.
That's
Thank you,
fine.
guys. Capture Media, the guys, we out.